So, Naqvi Saab, welcome, sir. And you steer us, sir, how we will be dealing with the Chat GPT in the classroom.
Thank you, Dr. Mukhtar. It's a pleasure to have this opportunity to talk about a topic that is indeed very much current and very much on everybody's mind. And it is about the ethics of Chat GPT. So I thought no better way to test out this topic than to ask Chat GPT to write out what are the ethics about, So I gave it basically the presentation topic, and the Chat GPT came back with about a half a page answer to me. Of course, the one that is publicly available is Chat GPT 3.5, as they say, and it talked about 6 different issues that are important. But before we get to that, I think that there is one word in this discussion that is by far the most important and paramount in terms of everything that we are discussing. And that word is about ethics. Now, we are relating ethics to Chat GPT, but we could basically be talking about anything. And I think that that word is important enough that it deserves our undivided attention just by itself. Because if ever there was a crisis in a country that Pakistan is facing, it is that really of ethics. In the simplest way that at least I talk to myself about it, or my children, or the students about the issue about ethics, is to figure out whether something is right or wrong. It has to be something that when you are alone and you're looking at a mirror, that you can tell yourself that thing and be convinced about it. Is as simple as that. Whether you're talking about the use of Chat GPT or a particular nuance that you have figured out, let me do something this way or that way. God has given us each an internal meter to figure these things out. You just have to find your wavelength to be in tune with that and have a core discussion on that matter. If we talk about, Chat GPT, what it is doing is providing us access to material and access to information. And it is different because it is being able to answer in terms of a natural language. We ask it a question in English, it gives us a coherent sentence in the English language, and it has collected all that material from everything that is digitally accessible. So if it is the library of the National Skills University, whatever is digitally available, it will access that. If it is the Library of Congress, it will access that. It will access every single web page out there. And it is going to collect information together from that. Now, the ethical part comes in when the question is, how are we using it? How are we presenting it? If I was to give the answer of Chat GPT and say, this is my answer, then I'm committing something that is, I'm doing something that is unethical. It would be basically plagiarism here. We may be extending the definition of plagiarism now to include answers that are generated verbatim by Chat GPT. But in terms of, so that is where the abuse part of it comes in. That is something that we are supposed to represent as our answer. We can and we ask and ask somebody else's help. In this case, it is not a person, but a software. It still means the same thing. We have taken somebody else's material, presented it ourselves. But think about the other way, the opportunity that is available. To me, it's no different. I am of the generation that has actually seen the calculator, for example, to come into play. When I was a young student, my father had given me a slide rule. From the slide rule, then we got to a TI 30 calculator, and the question was the issue was whether you're allowed to use a calculator in the classroom or not. For a long time, there was this debate. Karna hai ji, nahi karna hai, isko alag kare, side pe kare. And then nobody asks this question anymore these days. But then the calculator kept on becoming more and more sophisticated. It used to do graphics also. Now, basically, in a size of a calculator, you have is a supercomputer at your disposal. So the issue becomes, what are we going to use the human mind for? And a very good response to that is, if you ask, if there has been very recently this test done where they asked Chat GPT to take different exams. So it was from GRE to analytical to LSAT to SAT to advanced placement biology and all of that. And it is doing fantastically well in anything that is mathematical, of course. I mean, of course, any quantitative thing, it will get 100 out of 100. But when you are asking it to do essays and things like that, then it is, wavering. Now, that doesn't mean that situation that we have now is going to remain like that, because it's going to keep on learning, it's going to keep on doing those things. So we have to ask the question, what is the human being going to be used for? And we have to keep on moving with the times. If Chat GPT can decipher, or some AI tool can read X-rays and detect cancer in a better way, why would we not be using it? And if it is going to give an answer for a legal answer, so for example, we may ask her, what is the constitutional legitimacy of postponing the election beyond 90 days? It will give you all the cases that are associated with that and everything, all the information. So it's a phenomenal information gathering tool, but then it can also it can do decisions for you. So what it is that here we have a fantastic tool that can accelerate our learning, that can provide access to learning to a much larger community. Let's consider the case of an autistic child. Now here we have a special needs person. The methodology for teaching them, or any other people in other different categories, is different. And if you have the aid of the appropriate tools that are trained on how to deal with such circumstances, your ability to deal with them would be that much more fantastic. We can think about days coming ahead where we have robots, natural language understanding, and access to all the possible AI tools such as Chat GPT, and they are responding to particular circumstances, dealing with particular cases in a manner that it would take a human being who would be phenomenally trained and impossibly expensive, and that resource would be available to each and every child across the region. So this is yet another development in technology. It is not the first one. I just gave you an example of what happened when the calculator was invented, or when the computers came into being, or when the internet came into being, or when the mobile phone came into being. These are just developments in our lifetime. Chat GPT has happened. 500 years from now, the pace of development is not going to be stopping. What we have to see is how are we going to actually be using this material. Now, coming to the answers that Chat GPT gave me on the ethics of this situation, the issues that we need to be aware of, they make sense. And, for example, it talks about bias. So that is the question about what material is this tool trained on. If we are talking about the internet, then the internet is primarily English. If you're talking English, then it is going to be primarily geared towards, let's say, the Western countries, UK, and the US. it will be bringing together with it all the cultural sensitivities that are associated with those countries also. So if you want a more culturally attuned answer, you will have to have all the material in Urdu and Persian and Arabic that is more in tune with our heritage, etc. Then there is a question, the second one that it is raised is here is that of privacy. Again, you remember, anything that you give to Chat GPT becomes a part of the public domain. All these answers that it is given, it is part of the public domain, and it is taking material from the public domain. So there is no concept of talking to Chat GPT and keeping it to yourself. Whatever information you give, it will use it for the next development, etc. Accuracy is going to remain an issue. You can be asking it to be solving a complex mathematical problem, writing code for an app or whatever. Well, I mean, like anything else, that will have to be tested out. Okay. Now, the thing will be, are we then going to use Chat GPT as a substitute? So, हमें तो homework नहीं करना. एक essay मिला है कि write an essay about something. You tell Chat GPT, वो ऐसे लिख के दे देता है. So, the question will be that what kind of dependence are we going to have? And the answer is, whatever Chat GPT is going to give you is going to become the foundation or the baseline. The human being remains on top. To think that any machine or any entity that man has created is going to be replacing man, that's an oxymoron. It's not possible. You created it. You are the creator of this thing. The complexities of human beings and their abilities, etc. Every investigation that is done into that only opens up the wonder of what is actually there. It is like staring into the cosmos, or looking at the origins of matter, for example. Every investigation simply opens up a wonder, and the world just expands and goes on and on. The fourth thing that this article talks about is the lack of emotional intelligence. So this is a software. There's no such thing as an emotion, a human connection, or anything like that. Although if it can be learning natural language, perhaps we can look at in the future to understand the language of emotions also. And perhaps those nuances which are culturally defined, human defined, those will be understood by the Chat GPT model also. So in summary, we are not going to use Chat GPT as a substitute to ourselves. That would be unethical. If Chat GPT has given the answer, then let it own the answer. You have to do more. You have to sit on top. You have to use this as a foundation and talk about what comes next or what comes beyond. As a technological innovation, it is phenomenal. It has opened up all kinds of opportunities in teaching and learning, in working with people, in accelerate the amount of time that it takes for us to do our work. And it's a phenomenal opportunity that we should, embrace and build a better life for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Naqvi Saab. So now we will open the floor for a few questions. Sir, सबसे पहली बात तो ये है कि you mentioned कि human will be in the driving force, and if it stay in the English language, it will bring the biases of the developed world also. So is there any way, in Pakistan, can we think about this one, that we make it like, training should be in a way that it should take into consideration the Islamic culture or Islamic values, but we don't have such type of information in the public domain, if we call that.
Well, of course we do. All of the languages are now computerized. So the Arabic language, the Quran is available digitally, and as is the case with great works of poetry or there is a huge body of matter. Now, it is true that for Pakistan, we have not spent enough effort in computerizing our language, digitizing it, making it available. But there is a huge body of knowledge that is available already.
Sir, there is a question from Dr. Amber Miraj. She asks, what is your opinion on Chat GPT contribution in helping out student classroom performance, especially in subjects involving practice by hand, which are designed to improve analytical skills?
Well, that is somewhere that unless you are going to marry Chat GPT with a robot, you will still have to do yourself. So those are the kinds of things where you will have to be. I mean, for example, if it is turning a lathe machine or it is making a part or anything that is going to be done by hand, it is going to be involving a human. However, in software coding, people are expecting a huge revolution. They are going to say that now the computer is going to be writing the code of any language that you may be wanting to. So the semantics, the exact structure is not going to remain important. The human being will come in the design aspect of these things. So there are definitely things that will be changing.
Anyone else for questions? We will keep the debate on.
Doctor, can I ask question? This is Dr. Anila Kamal.
Sure, please, Dr. Anila.
Dr. साहब कैसे हैं? Dr. Sahil Naqvi. Good to see you. अच्छा डॉक्टर साहब, मेरी एक बड़ा सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन है कि जैसा इट इज काइंड ऑफ अ रिप्लेसमेंट ऑफ द गूगल में हमारे पास रिटर्न फॉर्म में आता है, इसमें हमारे पास कन्वर्सेशन की फॉर्म में इंफॉर्मेशन आएगी. दिस इज व्हाट आई अंडरस्टैंड. इसमें इंफॉर्मेशन की क्रेडिबिलिटी कितनी होगी? लाइक गूगल हमें नहीं पता होता कि जो इंफॉर्मेशन वेदर इट इज करेक्ट और नॉट, तो वो उसकी सोर्सेज क्या होंगी? पहली बात ये है. दूसरी मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि बीइंग अ साइकोलॉजिस्ट मुझे बड़ी स्ट्रॉन्ग फीलिंग आ रही है कि ये जब हम इसको ज्यादा एक्टिव कर देंगे कि ह्यूमन इंटरेक्शन जो है वो हमारा जो यंगर लॉट है वो पहले ही बहुत ज्यादा दे आर इनटू दिस थिंग, और ह्यूमन इंटरेक्शन वो मजीद कम हो जाएगा. And then how will they learn the emotional intelligence, the social intelligence and all the how to interact with the interpersonal skills कैसे सीखेंगे? क्या ये डैमेजिंग नहीं होगा इस चीज के लिए? So these are my two questions.
देखिए, दुनिया तो ऑलरेडी बदल चुकी है. आपके मेरे बच्चे, ग्रैंड किड्स वगैरह, वो सब मोबाइल्स के ऊपर लगे हुए हैं. तो लाइफ कीप्स ऑन चेंजिंग. So there is always a new normal that is going to be defined. Your first question, where you said that where is the information coming from? Well, the information is coming from all of the sum of human knowledge that is out there, that is available in digital form. So that is phenomenal. And उसमें जब हम फॉर एग्जाम्पल किसी डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं, उसको अपने सिम्टम्स दिखाते हैं, वो हमें जवाब देता है. वो डॉक्टर अपनी sort of limitations के अंदर ही जवाब दे सकते हैं. और a psychologist, when you are presenting symptoms to that person, they are looking at you, talking to you, analyzing what you have to say, and then based on that making a recommendation. But now you're talking to an entity or dealing with an entity that has access to basically all of the human knowledge that has been created. So it has far, far greater access to information, but it is limited by the fact that there's no concept of emotion inside a computer program that has been putting things together here. So one has to take that with a sort of a table full of salt. But what I would say is that the information is going to be very, very good. So as a psychologist, you would be looking at somebody, an entity that is picking up patterns that you could not possibly have imagined because of your human limitations. So one can see a day and a time where there are multi-sensory environments. So there is sound, there is sight, there is all other possibilities. And an understanding of the language that that person is speaking. All of that is being processed, and now the software is picking up patterns that the human was unable to see, and they may and making suggestions, and they would then give those suggestions to the human being, who would then interpret and figure out what one wants to do. So for a doctor, they would be, well, that there would be a 98% probability that it is disease one. The other one is second priority, third priority. So it's a new world we're going to be looking at.
Anyone else? Questions from colleagues? Abdul Kashif Janjua. Okay. How does Chat GPT empower university teacher, and how does it handicap them specifically to theory-based and hands-on skill-based teaching?
The point is that it is going to ask the university teachers to take a step back and to figure out what is really important, what matters here, what knowledge. We will have to challenge ourselves that this way in which we learned, and this way that the material is being currently taught, and what it is taught that this is what you should know. And the question will be, is that really necessary? So we are going to be pushed and challenged and that is always a very healthy thing, because we need to be continuously evaluating these issues and asking ourselves this question, whether Chat GPT indeed or whether the way we are doing things is the best way. If somebody could learn it better, because suddenly all of the information is instantly available to the person. So the kinds of questions that you will ask, those are going to be completely different now.
Naqvi Sahab, the other question is because it's GPT generative transformer, so it's believed that this generative is bringing new knowledge. It's accumulating the data from the existing one and creating new knowledge. So it will be having something which is a quite new, like human can think. Is that right, assertion?
इसके अंदर एक time delay hoga, because the information that is going in and what the models are being trained on, they take months and months of training. So इस वक्त जो Chat GPT 3.5 जो available है वो 2021 के डेटा तक है, और नया डेटा जो है वो Chat GPT 4.0 में आ गया और उसके ऑलरेडी उनको पैसे चाहिए. आई एम श्योर जब तक ये 5.0 वर्जन आएगा तो वो आपके अच्छे खासे पैसे निकलवाएंगे.
I mean, it's the same type of question. I think I wanted to ask that how should we teacher respond to student in classroom about using Chat GPT, specifically if we are teaching them about communication skill, because Chat GPT is hindering the learning curve of our student in this area, but still we cannot eliminate to use. So what should be our way forward as teacher? This is a question from Dr. Saima Wazir, sir.
I would say that first of all, we take out this idea that it is hindering. I think that's something that we have to take out from our terminology. It is not, it is there. Okay. And so it is up to us to how do we assist that. In terms of communication, look, the person has to stand. I mean, like I'm in front of you on Zoom. There is no Chat GPT that is going to be helping what I'm saying to you right now. It is not there yet. Now, one can think further into the future, maybe 20 years down the road, there are supercomputers that are listening to everything, and then it would be prompt. Let's say there would be a prompt on the screen that is coming, and I just have to simply speak the prompt. But that area where the computer is replacing the humans, that's a little bit down the road yet. So we need to think of innovative ways in which we can enhance learning of people using Chat GPT rather than thinking it as a hurdle. Dr. Saab, I had mentioned to you.
I know you have to leave, sir. So, I mean, I know there are a lot more, messages on this side, but we will keep it on the like, because we have established a website also. We will send you the link where we will be interacting with colleagues. And I have requested UNESCO to establish GPT chair also in Pakistan somewhere, because let's see what it goes on, So, but thank you very much, sir,
Thank you.
for, this icebreaker. So hopefully there will be a lot more debate in the coming days. And thank you, Naqvi Saab. You have been always
Thank you,
kind
sir.
and guiding
Thank
us
you,
in a
Dr.
great
Sir.
way, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.